Look closely at the southern Indian Peninsula, and you will find a landscape caught in two different timelines. In Karnataka, some of the world's most advanced aerospace and software engineering takes place right next door to forgotten empires carved from stone. One single geographic region dictated the terms of trade and culture 500 years ago, and it is doing exactly the same thing today. Temporal convergence defines this economy. The silicon chip and the stone chisel share a lineage, where the same engineering ambition that once carved granite temples now provides the precision required for modern aerospace. The rapid modernization defining India's future remains anchored to these traditional, deeply rooted foundations. The cultural baseline of the state rests heavily in Mysuru. For centuries, the Wadiyar dynasty transformed this region into a hub of arts and administration, anchoring Karnataka's identity in strict royal patronage. That patronage never stopped. Even during the monsoon, large-scale public ceremonies and elephant processions bring old courtly rituals into the modern public square. This dedication extends to the local economy. Artisans across the state still operate traditional wooden handlooms, maintaining the complex techniques required for authentic Mysore silk. They also cultivate distinct local resources. Sandalwood harvested from regional forests is processed into oils, soaps, and incense, driving a highly specialized trade that has supported local communities for generations. This commitment to craftsmanship built a stable, prosperous society, but it also provided the structural stability needed for an unexpected pivot toward global technology. Long before the first silicon chip was designed, the Vijayanagara Empire commanded the Deccan Plateau. In the 14th century, they built an administration that made southern India a global economic heavyweight. The remnants of their capital at Hampi stretch across miles of arid, boulder-strewn terrain. Even in ruins, the massive footprint of these stone pavilions and temples reveals a society obsessed with scale. To execute this vision, the empire relied on advanced stonemasonry and structural physics. Monuments like the stone chariot required precise mathematical planning to balance massive, intricately carved granite blocks without the use of mortar. This map shows the maritime and overland trade routes controlled by the empire. They established strong ties with merchants from Persia, Portugal, and China. As supply lines expanded, the resulting influx of wealth funded localized research into advanced metallurgy, complex hydraulic engineering, and early astronomy. The drive to invent, build on a massive scale, and trade with the rest of the planet has been a constant feature of this region for hundreds of years. Human engineering is only half the equation. West of the plateau, the landscape rises dramatically into the dense, mist-covered mountains known as the Western Ghats. This ridgeline creates one of the most concentrated biodiversity zones on Earth. The deep valleys and thick forests shelter thousands of endemic species that exist nowhere else. Tucked beneath this towering natural canopy is a massive agricultural engine. The state's coffee plantations thrive in the high-altitude shade, producing over 70. Those early investments in science and education created a dense concentration of engineering talent in Bengaluru. When the global IT boom began in the late 20th century, the city already had the academic infrastructure waiting. Today, Bengaluru operates at a blistering pace. Glass and steel campuses house millions of software developers, biotechnology labs, and the nerve center of India's space program. This chart visualizes the aggressive influx of foreign direct investment into the city. Over the last 2 decades, the registration of global technology headquarters in Bengaluru has spiked dramatically, outpacing nearly every other emerging market. From the stone engineering of ancient Hampi is now the launchpad for deep space satellites and global software architecture. When the scale of this modern growth is set against deep historical roots and untouched wilderness, a clear question emerges: is this India's most complete state? The economic output of its cities speaks for itself. The capital generates massive amounts of wealth, pulling in international capital to drive the national economy. Heritage and high-tech development occupy the same physical and economic space. The state expands its global industrial output while simultaneously maintaining its wildlife corridors and artisanal markets. A continuous loop of innovation connects these eras. The state leverages the same curiosity that built its ancient empires to power its next-generation technology. By anchoring tomorrow's technology in yesterday's traditions, Karnataka provides a functioning blueprint for how a society can aggressively develop without losing its historic identity.